Hey everyone, welcome back to a new malicious compliance video. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called "They couldn't fire him for this." In the UK, it's not like in the US, you can't just fire someone because you feel like it and with no warning. About 15 years ago, in an old office of mine, there was a guy who was pretty useless, but he was union and knew all the workarounds. Anyway, he was useless and lazy, so management and HR went through all the different ways to terminate his contract, but it took ages. Eventually a new policy was introduced about using workplace internet usage for non-work related stuff, and it was a sackable offense. Usage was unlimited at the time, but they were able to track time spent on non-work sites. It was known that this guy used the internet for personal stuff. So HR said that to be fair and ensure he can't counter the argument, 10 other random people in the department needed to be checked over the same time period. So over the space of about a month, internet was monitored from him plus the 10 random people. Although he used the internet a lot, he was by far the lowest user out of everyone they checked. Needless to say, HR soon backed down on that approach, otherwise they would have had to sack the entire department. I think he finally got sacked for operating his own business using work resources, but it took a long time. The next story is called "Should Fire Yourself as Well." My father worked for a Forbes 500 company since the 70s. He moved up the ranks as a software engineer and management, has patents for the company that saved him millions of dollars. He's almost to pension age and suddenly HR starts making his life miserable. He noticed this trend was happening to some of his co-workers when they were getting close to age 60 as well. A HR lady calls him into the office and says that he was not punching in and out at the correct time. My father, an engineer, is very detail oriented. He knew that these were false accusations and asked HR to prove it. They came back a week later and couldn't prove it. And he said, "Of course you can't. I have been driving the corporate carpool bus from the city for the last 15 years. I always have 16 witnesses on my clock in time and haven't been late in 15 years. The HR lady came back a week later and they said that they were going to fire him for letting people into the building without badging. He asked to see when and where he was letting someone into the building without badging. They showed that he held the door for his best friend, who had also been working there since the 70s, who has a disability. He was in a wheelchair. Prior to this, my dad took the chief of security out for lunch and told him about how this company wanted him to leave before he got his pension, so he got some footage of his own. My dad said, "That is very interesting. You are going to fire me for holding the door for my best friend of 35 years in a wheelchair? Fine, then I hope you fire the CEO and yourself as well." He then proceeded to show footage of the HR lady holding the door for his friend and the CEO holding the door for his friend as well. My father ended up staying there until he got his pension. The third story is called "I'm Busy Making Money." I work at a CNC machine shop and an order comes in for a part that needs repeated cuts with the part resting at a 45-degree angle relative to the cutting tool. This type of thing is normal for us, but this material was particularly hard on tooling. I suggest to the big boss that we take smaller cuts, but hey, what do I know, right? "Not fast enough," he says. "It will cut our profit margin," he says. Halfway through the first part, the mill starts making this atrocious screeching noise caused by vibration in the workpiece. We are talking jet engine levels of noise here, shake the earth levels of bad noise. I jam the feed hold button and walk into the office. Bossman flicks his noise cancelling headphones to one side and asked, "Why can't I hear the machine cutting?" I explained that the cutter is screeching and we need to either redesign the fixture, the thing that holds what you are cutting, or lighten the cutting depth, so we don't launch the machine and half of the shop into a low Earth orbit. Just lower the feed rate and keep going. I know that this isn't a problem, but hey, they are not my $100 cutters. Back to the machine I go, lower the feed override and hit start. Boom, crash, 100 Washingtons down the toilet, shards of carbide everywhere. So I go back to the office. "Didn't work," I tell him. "We gotta change." He cuts me off mid-sentence. "Look," he says, "I'm busy making money. Make it work without changing the fixture. I don't want to see you again." Just as I'm about to ask if he's sure, he pops his headphones back on and resumes his apparently very profitable activities. So back to production I go. I finished all 40 parts with the feed rate dutifully turned down with the max depth of cut. I broke a cutter every part or so, and by the end of the day, $4,000 worth of tooling was permanently destroyed. The best part, each of the parts was only worth $40 and my boss bought the material. The next day he's humming and hawing, looking at the scrap carbide bin, which is just full to the top. What the heck happened here? I just shrugged. Sorry boss, someone told me I wasn't to bother you, seeing as how you were making so much money. I've never seen someone come close to blowing steam out of their ears. The last story is called, turns out he wasn't that bad after all. He was irritated to come out to her secretary's desk and find she wasn't yet seated. She was in the lounge, putting away her coat and then fixed herself a cup of coffee, and she sat down at 8:37 instead of 8:30. It happened to be a morning of extreme stress and he really needed all hands on deck that morning. Got it, but he was very short-sighted. The 6 minutes didn't change the course of the day, but his memo to staff certainly did. He circulated a memo to all staff which said something to the effect of, "The day begins at 8:30, not 8:36 or 8:40, or when you found a parking space, or when the coffee was ready. If you need more time, plan your day accordingly, and make your cup of coffee and find your spot and hang up your coat earlier than normal. 8:30 means in your seat, at your desk, ready for the day's work to begin, not coming through the door." Okay, we got it. Well, I was a paralegal at the time, and I put in so many more hours than the 40 hours I was paid for. I arrived early, left late, frequently delayed lunch, often didn't take breaks on busy days preparing for trial. Every single employee was grumbling, not just the secretary. As it happened, I was the most affected, in a positive way actually, by this policy memo because I was the staff member who had the most lost time from working beyond my schedule. I was never late, so he didn't have a problem with me, but he also abused my time more than anyone else. There were months where I never took so much as a coffee break. Often ate lunch at my desk while working. Seldom left at closing time. Often came in on Saturdays or Sundays to help get ready for Mondays. I just always shrugged it away and took it as part of the industry. A trial litigation practice is stressful and schedules need to be fluid. He didn't appreciate that, so we responded as a group of 16 employees with total solidarity. We were at our desk at 8:30 AM. We left our desk promptly at 5:30. We took our breaks and our lunch hours exactly on time. It was a disaster. I was the first to respond. "Sorry, I can't help right now. My lunch is 12 to 1 and I have to stand up at 12 and sit back down at 1, so this copy project would make my lunch 12-ish to 1-ish. I'll start on this at exactly 1:01 PM when I'm back at my desk." I also left exactly at 5:30 PM. I stood up, put the cover on my typewriter and cleared my desk. He said, "Can you just," and some paperwork in his hands. "No, I'm sorry, my day begins promptly at 8:30 and ends exactly at 5:30. I'll help with that tomorrow." I left. Everyone did the same, all week. "No, I'm sorry, I'm required to take a 10-minute break in this hour." "No, I'm sorry, my lunch begins in 15 minutes at 12 and that's 30 minutes of dictation you want transcribed. I'll begin exactly at 1 when I'm in my seat at my desk." He realized the petty nature of his memo to staff within 2 business days and sent around an apology memo within a week of disastrous results. He then sent us all out for an extended lunch of 2 hours, under house. He didn't come. His memo said, "Go complain about your boss over a 2-hour lunch, on me." Thanks for watching the video, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, comment and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, it really helps in the algorithm. I hope you have a great day, stay safe, bye bye.